What's hot and what's not? We find out 2017's greatest movies on Nerdy Oz Top 5 for 2017. Now. We're going to do a top 5 of 2017. So first off, we're going to get into some honourable mentions. Now, honourable mentions have to go to... There are a lot more than 5 movies that could go on this list in 2017. There's some fantastic ones there. Colossal with Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis, which was just a fantastic original film. We need to support films like this so we get more of them. It's completely out of the box. It mixes kaiju with a sort of self-deprecating, self-doubt story, which it was just amazing. If you haven't seen Colossus, not X-Men. If you haven't seen Colossal, check it out. You'll be able to find it video on demand and lots of places like that. And it's a fantastic film. I don't want to go too much into it because I think it benefits from being fresh. A great one there. Some other honourable mentions. Wonder Woman, of course. You've probably heard any number of stories about Wonder Woman, why it's so great. Patty Jenkins did a wonderful job on that. Loses a bit in the third act, but we don't need to go into that right now. Overall, fantastic film. Spider-Man Homecoming, an excellent film into the Spider-Man franchise, perhaps the truest representation of Spider-Man we've had, definitely one where he's not played by a 60-year-old man pretending to be in high school, and it brings it to the MCU, which is reason enough to put it on the list. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now, I wanted to put this on my top 5. I looked every way I could to try and get it on there, but I just couldn't. There was just too much stiff competition. I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I love the comics. I love the whole Marvel Cosmic line. It's probably my favourite comic book line, the Marvel Cosmic series, which will lead into one that is on the list, but just couldn't do it. It just got squeaked out. Blade Runner. Now, I really love Blade Runner. Not a lot of people saw it. Didn't do fantastically at the box office. Harrison Ford reviving his second iconic characters. He did Han Solo not too long ago, and now he's back with Deckard this time. It doesn't so much answer a lot of questions raised in the first Blade Runner, so much as pose more questions. It's a very philosophical film, very think-piecey. We've got Ryan Gosling giving a fantastic performance. It's just great all the way through. Now, Lego Batman, that was hilarious. I loved Lego Batman. I loved the sort of romantic friendship, needing each other message that went through the Joker and Batman. I loved all the little cameos, the throwbacks to all the Batman movies. I think we even saw a shade of it in Justice League with the Exploding Penguins line, but this maybe did it a bit better. Yeah, Lego Batman was a great Batman film, a great comedy, a great Lego film, so it works on so many levels, but it was just a fantastic film. War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is a bit different. It didn't do as well at the box offices either. It wasn't really an action film. This was definitely going back to the sort of Planet of the Apes sort of movies of old, where it was definitely, I guess, like a think piece like Blade Runner. It's definitely posing some questions, what it means to be human, what it means to be sentient, who deserve rights. It has some racial overtones there. It's a fantastic entry into the film. So if you haven't seen War for the Planet of the Apes, check that out. Woody Harrelson gives a fantastic performance. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Michael McDonald, is that his name, who makes these films? He did 7 Psychopaths, he did In Bruges, and he did the one set in Ireland about the priests and molestations and things like that. Redemption, I can't remember what it's called now. But all these movies are fantastic, darkly funny, with a razor-sharp wit, and this is no exception. It's got Frances McDormand from Fargo, and Sam Rockwell's in this. It's just got a fantastic cast, and each one of them gives a stellar performance, and it's complex, it's funny, it's dark and disturbing. Everything that Michael McDonald, I hope that is his name, and that's not the singer from that band. Anyway, even if I've got it wrong, look up 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, because it is one of my favourites for the year. And lastly, Logan gets the honourable mention. Now, I know what everyone's saying, Logan's my favourite. Well, I've got a few problems with Logan. I don't really like Hugh Jackman as Logan. He's too tall. He's not animal enough, although he comes close in this film. And he just wasn't my Wolverine. I was never on board. I was a big, huge X-Men fan, so when they told me that this guy that's the boy from Oz and smiles cheesily and everyone's mum loves is now going to be Wolverine, I just didn't buy it, and I never got on board with it. And I was always waiting for sort of him to retire. And I get that if this was a lot of people's first exposure to Hugh Jackman, and if that's the case, then yeah, definitely, or even first exposure to Wolverine. Then I get that passion. I get that he's a great actor. I get that he gives these great performances. I get it all, but it's just when I picture Wolverine, I picture the bulky arms that are longer than the torso, short, very short, like 5'2", 5'3", whatever he is, really short, hunched over, sitting on his hunches, and 90% animal, 10% man, not this sort of good-looking, charismatic guy that looks like he walked out of a GQ model shoot and never uses his claws. But Logan, it transcends all that. It is a really good movie, a good cowboy movie. It has overtones of Shane, which we see in the film itself. It's a good film for daddies and daughters. It's just a great film. I felt that it was it fell apart sort of again towards the end. I don't know if we're going to get resolution to any of those questions. I don't know if maybe we could have spent more time with Wolverine and X-23 and not trying to set up all these people that we're never going to see again. But it's still a great movie. Now we get to the top 5. So coming in at number 5, we have Get Out. Now Get Out, it's great. It's genre mashing. It's darkly funny. It's directed by Jordan Peele, of course, from Key and Peele, who did the skit shows. It's starring Daniel Kaluuya or something. Sorry if I butchered that, Daniel. Alison Williams from Girls. It's just a great film. I loved every second of this film. It reminded me of the Black Mirror episode in parts and Twilight Zone in parts, and we just don't get enough of these movies, these sort of standalone, great genre-smashing, well-written, well-acted films. We tend to be given a lot scenes nowadays of action set pieces with little story, Justice League, but this definitely gives us a great movie. And if you haven't seen Get Out yet, what are you doing? Get out of here, go watch it. Quick, quick, quick. And number 4 is going to be The Big Sick, probably one of my favourite comedies or romantic comedies of the year. The Big Sick is written by Kumail Nanjiani from Silicon Valley. Sorry, my pronunciation's all over the place. It's 1,000 degrees here today and humid as hell, but I'm doing my best. Kumail, and it's about his sort of real-life relationship with wife Emily V. Gordon, how they met, culture clashes. Ray Romano gives a great performance in this. It had me laughing. It was poignant. Again, this is a throwback to the type of films that I hope we get to see more of. Enough of these big, empty-calorie, spectacular, you have to go and see it in 3D and spend, your child's college fund to see it, boring, just crap fests. And I think audiences are turning away from them. And this is what we need more of. Middle-of-the-road, in terms of budgets, films that give you an original story and are done well, and the story works from A to B. It's not rocket science. If it works from A to B, that's all we ask. We'll watch it, Some people might not like it, some people might, but at least it works. And so many of the films we seem to be getting don't work in any... They don't hold up to scrutiny. They're like made of tissue paper. If you look at it too closely, it just falls apart. But The Big Sick is not one of those. Touching... had me crying in parts, had me laughing in parts, well written, beautifully acted, just a fantastic film. If you haven't seen The Big Sick yet, get onto it because I think you'll really enjoy it. Next up, number 3, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, I thought this was a wonderful addition to the Star Wars thing. It's definitely different. Just Google Last Jedi controversy and you can see any number of arguments about whether it's a good Star Wars movie, whether it's a good Rian Johnson movie, whether it's a good movie, whether this part's good, this part's bad. I'm putting it at number 3 instead of my number 1, which going into the year, I suspected probably it would be number 1, but there's a few problems with it. I think it's over long. I think there's storylines with Finn and Rose in particular that don't need to be there. There's going to be another video up here soon about Poe. I don't know if he does the best things in this film, but it drives the thing forward. It's original. It's definitely what we wanted from a Star Wars film. We didn't want the same old rehashing of, these people are related and it's a small universe. We wanted to expand it and grow, and it definitely did that. It definitely sort of, I look at it as sort of the Once Upon a Time of Star Wars, in that sort of deconstructs and smashes it all and says, okay, starting now, we're going to go forward and do X, Y, Z. And that's why I really liked it. But it wasn't perfect by any means. Some of the humour didn't land with me. Some of the storylines didn't seem to go anywhere. Had a few little niggles. Nothing that would make me say don't go and see it. Nothing. It's one of my favourite movies of the year. I've seen it sort of 3 times already. But yeah, it just couldn't get number one. There was too stiff a competition, and that moves on to number 2, Thor Ragnarok. Now, I love Taika Waititi, from Eagle vs. Shark, from What We Do in the Shadows, Will the People. He was in Green Lantern, one of the only good things in Green Lantern. He's just a fantastic director and actor. Being Australian, that New Zealand sensibility from Flight of the Conchords, from Outrageous Fortune, all that stuff, just, I've always really loved it. So this is a fantastic film, Thor Ragnarok, filled with humour, cosmic, like I said before. I'm a big fan of the cosmic sort of universe, and this is definitely something that goes along with that. And yeah, it's just a great film from start to finish. So if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, what are you doing? I mean, you've living under a rock. It made all the money in the world, so I'm sure you have seen it. Chris Hemsworth gets to stretch his comedy chops. We've been hearing from Ghostbusters and lots of other films that, isn't Chris Hemsworth very funny? And he is really funny in this. Valkyrie's a great addition to the character. Korg, or whatever the rock guy name, voiced by Taika himself, is a great addition. Loki has some cool scenes, and this is an example of a film that has those set pieces, from the Valkyrie fight scene to Hela taking over and fighting nearly all of Asgard by herself, to just any of the scenes that you can pick up, Hulk versus Thor, any of those great scenes, and yet it has a story, and yet it has humour, and yet all of these things work, and it manages to seem like its own sort of movie. And lastly, my number 1 film of the year goes to, drumroll, Coco. This is Pixar's Coco, and it's directed by Lee Unrich, or Ernrich, I think I can't pronounce. Yeah, Lee Ernrich. It's a fantastic film. It's certainly Pixar style. The story is strong. It has a great message about sort of family and being creative, and people needing to sort of understand each other's differences and support, and support each other, finding that difference, that line between doing what you love and your responsibility towards your family and things like that. It's a great message for kids. It had me crying in places, had me clapping in places, had me laughing in places. I just walked away from this with such a warm glow, and just immediately wanted to go back to this world, to live in it, and it was just a fantastic film. I can't recommend this highly enough. The story, and after all, films are just moving stories, was so tight and was so perfect, with such a great message, with so many sort of varying elements, that Coco it took number 1 for me. We've been over honourable mentions. If there's anything that you think I've missed, if you've got any ideas or you want to chuck your lists in there, you can add them to our Facebook page, you can tweet them at us, or you can add them in the comments below. So guys, subscribe, get involved. We'd love to have you participating. We love your comments, feedback. If you want to record a little skit and put it on the channel, if you want to message us and say, hey, can I come on, can I talk about this, we can organise it on Skype or whatever. Anyway, we want you guys to be involved in this as much as possible. But I thought I'd just get this out there before New Year's, because I want to start getting as many videos up as I can. So this is just a little refresher, a little top 5, a little gift, I guess, for you guys for the end of 2017. And we'll see you in 2018 for more great films. So until then, peace.